So just to cover another very important point with the cons, and it's the exit strategies. When you decide on an exit strategy within the joint venture agreement, it's good and it's important to give a few options, like the first option or the second option or even the third option. Sometimes and very often things change for people in their life, whether it's a couple could divorce or somebody can get sick or something can happen and one partner will want out. Those things are out of your controls. For example, if there is a change in the market, if you plan to buy a property for X amount of dollar, do it up and sell it for X maximum of X amount of dollar for a profit. If the market is not cannot provide that margin or that particular expected price, then you need to decide and you need to agree of it in advance that you will be, for example, changing the strategy as a buy and hold, tenanting the property and holding it for a set time frame for 6 months, for example, and then reassessing the market, or would you be moving forward by trying to sell the property at cost? And then moving on and getting into the next deal. So sometime you make it you go into a development, for example, and you know, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 townhouses development, and you plan to refinance, and something happened and there is change in the global financial crisis. Many people get cut off because they couldn't refinance the project. So all of those things are things that should be discussed and should be taken care into account and even written in the joint venture agreement. So this is something that we cover, how to protect yourself in joint ventures. You carry due diligence on the deal and the partner prior to entering into an agreement, prior to purchasing any property. So we said, does the money partner have the funds available in cash or has a pre-approval from the lender? Can they act fast when required? Has the partner who managed the project done it before? How did they do it with? Who did they do it with? You know, was the project done on time and on budget? All those things are very, very important. Does he have a system in place which you can review and see, you know, what the process will be? It is very, very important to keep those things in mind.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've covered a lot of them in the last sort of slides. But as I said, preparation for the number one is so important there. But as I said, for the person managing the project or doing the project, and I'm assuming here now that we're talking about a renovation of sorts to make some profit. How many have they done, or just not even necessarily how many have you done? How successful have they been done? The ones you've done, you've worked with, and if you talk to the ex-partners before, they'll find out the systems in place. How do they report back? Do they report back weekly? Do they report back every day or monthly or whatever it is? And again, it may depend on what sort of joint venture you're setting up and what it's for. That's for sure.
It is very important for the, let's call it, not the money partner, perhaps the expert, the project manager, maybe the guy who finds the property, the guy who is more hands-on investor. It is very important for them to understand and to acknowledge that 80% of the mindset of the money partner will be whether the hands-on investor is integrity is in place, and if you have a good track record and good experience. People will not give you the money if you have lack of integrity or lack of experience. So this is the key, which any person who wants to do a joint venture. There's a lot of people who wants to do a joint venture who don't have the funds. So those who got the experience and they got the time and they got the knowledge and they're out there looking for deals and finding great deals, or sometimes deals which are a little bit bigger than what they can afford or within the capacity. Those people has to make sure that everything is transparent and they have everything in line and they got track record to show for it.
Yeah, definitely, and that's as I said, most of the risk factors on the person providing the money, and as I said, they have to have this 80% rule. They have to have that gut feeling that this project's going to be done well. You have to trust in the person, and it comes down to if you have they end up having ultimate trust in the people. I mean, they'll just produce the project and they'll say yes, but it takes a while to get to that stage.
Definitely. Now we will move on to the stage of discussing the agreement and putting things on paper and getting into the technical side of it. Deciding on the split. So the split could be anything from 50-50, which I believe that's what you do mainly, Mark, and that's what I intend to do as well. But it also could be 65-35. It depends on the level of involvement and the level of the risk that there is. Joint venture could also be, and I would like to mention that, more than 2 people. Joint venture could be a group of investors. It could be 3, 4, 5, even 10 investors. There's no limit of how many people could be in a joint venture. But the most common one that we come across and do is usually 2 investors.
Yep, that's the sort of norm we're seeing at the moment. But there are the great thing about joint ventures are there are no hard and fast rules. As said, 50-50, 65-35. There's the world's your oyster. You can decide depending on the situation on what you want to do. I generally work 50-50. Sometimes I'll offer the financer. Say there's a $80,000 potential profit in this deal. 50-50 would be $40,000 each. I might say, hey, how about paying me like a $10,000 wage for each month for 3 months? And so I'll only end up with $30,000, and you'll get the remainder. So if it goes to the potential of the project, 80k profit, they'll end up with 50,000 instead of the 40,000 they may have had. Funny thing, it's no one's actually taken me up on that one yet. I've always gone back to 50-50, and in most occasions they would have made more money had they taken the other option. But in saying that, if they've got the 50-50 split, they know that you'll be working your butts off as much as you can to make as much profit with the project. So I suppose they've got the security of knowing that 50-50, that you're going to work hard to maximise the profits. At the end of the day, that's what you or both parties are after.
Yes. This is the incentive, which is a very important part for me to have when putting any joint venture or any partnership with anyone really. Another option which it should be decided in advance is whether if one of the partner, the less passive partner, the one who would do the job or will manage the project or will be hands-on tradesman who is involved in the project, would they get a wage like you mentioned before? So it is very important to decide on those things and make everything clear. One could get a wage within the month, because if a trader is if the tradesperson is not doing his normal job and he's working on the project, for example, for 3 or 4 or 5 months and there is no income coming in, so sometimes it's only fair if he will get some sort of support to supplement his loss of income within that time frame. So he gets a wage, and after that, when the profit comes, they split the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And then just going on for that, seeing the exit strategies, you've spoken a bit about that already. Just an example, most of my joint ventures are short term, so we don't have too many exit strategies. But one thing I always have in there is if again someone might change their mind, we might do a renovation or subdivide, and it ends up it's a very good cash flow deal, and the investor might go, geez, I actually want to keep this property. So I have a wee exit strategy in there that if the financer changes their mind, we'll get a registered valuation done that we both agree on, and
yes.
And basically that's the profit, and I get my 50% profit and they keep the property. So that's, as I said, if you have a longer term joint venture, you need to have some extra exit strategies. But the joint venture agreement should be, the brief and to the point, and it's the way it should be. So there's everyone knows where they stand with it. Right from when you first get the property, how you get the property, through to each partner's roles, responsibilities, how the profits will be shared, and as we just said, the exit strategy at the end of the project.
Yes, the exit strategy, and also another point is the mediation. If there is a dispute, then there is a clause there which we use, which says that a nominated solicitor will appoint a mediator. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And just if, you always have to look. No one wants the worst situation to happen, but plan it, and you'll get through it. And so that, as I said, if everything's on that joint venture agreement, it ties everything together, and you shouldn't have anything outside the scope of that agreement.
Yes, and to make a point for our listeners that we are not solicitors or tax specialists or anything which is related to agreement, joint ventures agreement and structures. We really encourage you to get a professional legal advice, whether it's from your lawyer, solicitor, or from your accountant. There are number of entities which one could use, whether it's limited partnership, or is it a company which you both director of, or I know that you do it in a way that usually the financer, the more passive investor who finances the deal, he goes on the title, he purchases the property, while in the agreement, Mark, you got your rights for the profit.
Yeah, correct. And so the joint venture agreement will tie it up, and that's generally how my JVs work. But as I said, there's no hard and fast rules. There's a whole range of different entities or ways you can do any joint venture together, minus for short term, and that's how it happens. But it's definitely very important, as Hadar just said, of getting your solicitor and their solicitor to look over the agreement to make sure they're happy with it. The short term renovations, etc., that I do. There's tax to pay, there's GST to pay, and you have to have appropriate advice from your accountant for those sorts of things.
Great stuff. So I really hope you enjoyed this recording. Feel free to email us via property-investors.co.nz. You can email us through the contact page or the feedback page. If you have any questions for Mark, just send us a feedback there or from the contact page, and it will be forwarded directly to Mark. Thank you very much for listening to this video brought to you by us, the team at property-investors.co.nz. Thank you, Mark, for your time and sharing us your experience. It was great having you.
Thanks for that. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.